there was a pox, an awful selection of stenches and retching, wearisome moanings and endless protestations, emanating from the chimneys and the holes in the door. Blame for the blisters and cantankerous concocted claims were resisted by swollen swine, rabid canines, and toothless, stir-crazy goats. The adults sat around and pecked at the ground until their heads were buried to their elbows. The first to follow were the obedient dogs, burying their muzzles underground. Then the placating hens scratched at the dirt until their clucking remained stuffed with worms. Next the dripping cows, tearing with horns, the Michaelmas mice with their warm claws, and even the solitary speculative spiders unhooked their myriad of toes and sank their woes as they descended from their woven baskets in the air.
Through the valleys, between the elevated hillocks, sauntered Zanni, her mind on superior matters. Each of the hills sprouted a disapproving, wagging tail. Breakfast had not been made, dinner had been forgotten, and tea was lost amongst the shivering peaks. So much treacherous mountaineering had left a gaping gap in Zanni's belly, and she gorged on scavenged deerberry jam, refusing to carry water or chalkwood for the grumbling drumlins strewn across the bedroom rug. Zanni took to the sanctum of her private palace, content within her hoard of riches, where she could wait in exile until all the hair pulling downstairs went away.
The tide turned and pulled at its blankets, creeping up the bedposts and licking the jam spots from the ermine. The sun, exhausted by never-ending stretching and ripening, hid behind the tall trees until no one noticed its absence. And then it locked up the door and scurried away with the keys. The moon awoke, asleep all day to find itself locked indoors, being chased by flapping and slapping rat tails, leaving white footprints around the royal parlour.
Zanni, masked in her cuckoo's hood, slunk from her nest and slipped on the footprints for size. They led, one by one, across the waving high peaks, in birdie tracks, until she descended on the lee side, at the entrance to a copse.
In the margin, by a lamp, stood a tall three-legged table strewn with paraphernalia, between which twitched the spats of an even higher, broad-hatted, long-coated figure. The twitcher appeared to be in mid-performance, extolling the virtues of internals of a small, blue glass bottle. Apparently, the elixir, if swallowed and gargled, would purge and purify any possession. More potions appeared, liniments, lotions, and searing sagwas, for the ailments of effective heads to the welts of tortuous tentacles. All that was missing was an audience for the protestations, until the small glass blue bottle was raised in the direction of Zanni.
Zanni peered over her beak at the gesticulating panda with a disapproving lurch. She hovered for a moment, then pecked at the rostrum. "It's empty! The bottle's empty! You're a liar and a fake! It's nothing but pocus, you quack!" said Zanni.
"Then we'd better find something to put inside it," replied the performer, and hopping off the table, took the lamp in his hand and disappeared into the woodland.
"Bunkum," said Zanni, leering at the bottle left on the table. "Balderdash, said Zanni, prodding the bottle with the tip of her wing. However, thought Zanni, the bottle would look good in her treasury. So she checked to the right, to the left, behind and under the table for tricks and traps, and then she snapped up the bottle in her pecker.
But 2 flaps into her getaway, Zanni's takeoff was halted by the light of a lamp. Behind the light a voice said, "It's such a shame that such a blue bottle should remain empty."
Zanni looked at the bottle and watched as the lamplight passed clean straight through it without a single pause for thought. I suppose one small drop of one potion would make it look better, pondered Zanni. But which, what, where, or how to choose such a concoction?
"I'll show you," said the voice carrying the lamp, and sweeping up the bottle, they stepped into the forest together. The lamp, brighter than even the moon, before too long, illuminated a marshy clearing.
As soon as Zanni planted a squelchy footlight, she heard great and terrible shouting of all kinds.
Howling and barking, screeching and gnarling, hissing, crying and hollering, sobbing, wailing, groaning and moaning mangled the air.
Zanni couldn't bear the cacophony, putting her hands to her ears, murmuring, "Oh, what a horrible noise! I wish it would go away."
The voice with the lamp said, "Here, take my ears."
So Zanni put the ears on her head, and then all she could gather was beautiful song. Still captured by the singing, Zanni vaguely noticed her ears tingling. The hearkening continued to entrance her, and it whirled and unfurled as from her new ears soft and velvety leaves uncoiled. The leaves divided and fanned out on downy foliage, antler stalks, until each sprouted pink blushes of 5-petalled flowers. The separate leggy stalks continued to protrude, stretching longer until finally thick, hairy roots poked out their wandering tendrils.
Snip, snip, and the newly budded antlers fell to the ground. Pick, pluck, and the best bits were popped into the small blue bottle.
Following the lamp, Zanni left her powdery footprints on cuttings of marshmallow. As she returned to the trees, still amongst the music, deaf to any eerie sprouting. Before too long, the lamp cast its monocular gaze into a clearing, round as a bowl and brimming with freshly washed sand. The instant Zanni slid over the dune rim, she was stunned by the most horrid of scents.
Rank stenching and foul reeking, gaseous putrefying stinking, festered fust and smoke fumes, malodorous and noxious exhaust took her breath away.
Zanni couldn't bear the vapours and put her hand to her nose, snorting, "Oh, what a nasty smell! I wish it would go away."
The voice with the lamp said, "Here, take my nose."
So Zanni put the nose on, and then all she could get wind of was beautiful aromas. Still entranced by the perfume, Zanni faintly discerned her nose twitching. The fragrance continued to charm her, and its bouquet plumed, as from her new nose waxy fronds untangled. Flapping, bladdery blades floated onwards until 2 stipes, one from each nostril, snaked down past her knees, clinging on only by their suckers.
Clip, clip, and the serpents fell to the shoreline. Tweak, twist, and the best bits were shoehorned into the small blue bottle.
Trailing behind the lamp, Zanni left her impression on pages of seaweed, as still mesmerised by incenses, she was nescient of any nasal dripping. Soon the lamp defined a dark, fertile bed between the trees. But as the soil tumbled over Zanni's protruding toes, she became buried by the worst touchings imaginable.
Pushing and poking, slapping and smacking, flicking, prodding and punching, pinching, stinging, scalding and stabbing started and scraped at her skin.
Zanni couldn't bear the blemishing and shoved her thumbs and fingers under her armpits. Oh, what awful feeling! I wish it would go away.
The voice with the lamp said, "Here, take my hands."
So Zanni put them on. In her new mittens, her hands felt soft and beautifully smooth. Held by the massaging, Zanni only slightly bristled. The feathery caress continued to soothe her, as from her new fingers, purply wrinkles stemmed outward, displaying long whorls of crinkly, leafy features. The purple protrusions grew tall over her shoulders before, overwhelmed, they bent down with 1,000 pink heads, only their bonny roots still gripping hold.
Chop, chop, and the beheading was unleashed, and the best bits dropped into the small blue bottle, where they sank to the bottom.
The lamp continued its journey, and Zanni went with it, leaving a trail of gravel between the tree roots. She passed brambles and thickets, disregarding their thorns and hooks, her new hands still protecting her from their mauling. A short while later, the lamp picked out the contour of a dry, swollen hummock, nestled between the trees. Zanni attempted to traverse its slopes, but as soon as the ramparts crumbled, she puckered and pursed her lips at the most foul tongue-twister gulpings.
Gobulous grueling and sick puking sputum, retching, burping and acidic returning, tonsil tugging, gurning, ulcer bursting. Foaming and bitter gurgling made her molars stamp up and down in their sockets.
Zanni grimaced at the teeth grinding, putting her hands over her mouth. Oh, what a disgusting taste! How I wish it would go away.
"Here, take my mouth," said the voice with the lamp.
And Zanni took the mouth, placing it over hers. Instantly she smiled, she grinned and licked, because all she could lap up were beautiful savours. Zanni salivated and swallowed. Drunk on sugars, she ignored her elongated, bristling patches of dark, evergreen leaves snatched at her chin. A beard tussled and tangled until it drooped with white flowers and plump berries that began to rain to the floor.
Slash, slice. And the shaving was both manicured and barbered, and the best bits swept into the small blue bottle.
As at all the other departures, the lamp led Zanni away, chewing, slurping and smirking in deserts. She left squashed berries for deer in the earth. The edge of the forest approached them from out of the darkness, and the lamp embraced the opening air at the edge of fanning trenches in the field. Zanni tinkered on the ridge, but as she dangled a tiptoe, the furrows erupted in light.
Flashes and strobing, negative overexposing, styes and spinning orbital bulging, frowning, cycloptic staring, and spiralising hypnotising, blurred her focus, and hot tears overflowed.
Enough, enough, said Zanni. I don't want to look at these frightening sights. I wish they would disappear forever.
Here, take my eyes, said the voice with the lamp at the edge of the wood.
Zanni took the new eyes, and to her surprise, when she put them on, the view cleared and became one filled with beauty. A palette of rainbows, starlight and rippling auras projected a kaleidoscope of crystallised colours. Dilated by wondrous visions, Zanni hardly blinked as her eyelashes curled toward heaven. Brows bushed into growth, their lines flecked with long sawn leaves tumbling over her slatted lid windows. Sweet posies and parcels, cakes and chewy bootlaces adorned every telescopic frond, until thick black juices crisscrossed her cheeks and circled her eyes.
Tug and pluck, pluck, and the hedgerow was shorn, the spoils bathing in the cuttings, while the sticky fluid topped up the small blue bottle, which was placed alongside other paraphernalia on top of a three-legged table in the margins.
The lamp had grown dim, and Zanni left the sweet wood behind. She clambered up onto the table and curled around the paraphernalia as the moon bounced between the sky and the floor. Zanni awoke in the shimmering dawn of her bedroom, her treasures about her, unearthed in a crumpled field of crumbs and spots of jam. She peered over the side of her mattress to the farmyard of toys below. All appeared calm in the pasture, cop and clutches. Next to the barn, in stolen bowls and plates, were the deep oceans, treacherous swamps and desert islands. Here too, all appeared settled amongst the creatures, exotic and mysterious. Zanni was about to venture out into the new day when she noticed the footprints.
There, in the plough lines, and there, in the damp, over the fences, and under the eaves, pointy peckers plundered in their 100.
Zanni followed their roundabouts, twitches and scratching, until their powdery white claws reached the flapping hem tail of a long, dark coat, hung under a broad hat from the hook on the back of the door. Zanni began to fawn as she gleaned the creaking of the staircase boards.
Run by run, someone was climbing, and with each tread and grave riser, more lamplight crept under the door, until it washed over the world, only stopping to lap at the farmer's threshold. Slowly, the bedroom door handle turned in its socket, and even slower, the door began to gape open.
Zanni retreated underground.
Something clinked and chinked. Something shook and jangled. Then something went away.
Zanni slowly stole from her covering, and there, on her table, amongst other important things, was a bottle. She lifted it up.
It was small, and it was blue, and she could read her mother's name, faintly, on its label. As the first rays of morning sunlight shone through it, over the ocean and tilling the field, to cascade down the stair flight and rewind the cuckoo clock, hung over the newly filled nest downstairs.